everyone is doing good today. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you how I did 6 straight back braids into a bun. I think Lori Harvey did this style before. I don't know, but this style is like pretty popular. And it's fairly easy, fairly quick. It's a really cute style. So first, what I like to do is I like to actually pre-section all of the sections before I start. And the reason why I do this is because I want to make sure that all my parts are even and that, one braid won't be like tremendously thicker than the other braid. I think it's actually really important in making sure that you have consistency with the braids. But I just like to flat twist the braids away just so they're, like nice and neat and so I can see the whole head clearly before I actually start braiding. So the gel that I'm using for this style is of course Shine and Jam. I really like this gel, as I mentioned in other videos, because it works with pretty much any texture, and it's not too, it doesn't flake, it's not too greasy, it's not too strong of a hold, but it'll definitely make your hair lay flat. I just love this gel, it's very nice. But I was just checking with my client, making sure that she liked the parts before I started braiding. So before I go into details about how I actually attach the hair and everything, some tips that I can give you is to when you're starting the braid, start off with grabbing smaller pieces. I feel like a lot of people, well, especially me in the beginning, I would mess up because I would grab too big of sections as I was going on throughout the braid, and then it'll make the braid look lumpy or just really inconsistent. So I would say as you're braiding, make sure you grab little sections. It might be a bit more tedious, but it'll definitely make the look a lot better. So when starting the braid, I believe I take it underhand is what people call it. But I basically, I grab my 3 sections and I twist the right section underneath the middle and the left underneath the middle, and I keep varying between those two. When I add in the hair, I basically just place a piece of hair underneath and I just continuously braid. I'm actually going to show you this process a couple times, but as you can see, I grab the hair and I kind of place it in the middle, and then I just literally continue on braiding like I was doing before, with varying between the right and left sections. I apologize for my shoulder being in the way. I wasn't very conscious of the camera when I was doing this, so I'm sorry about that. But yeah, I mean, I feel like this practice is really, I feel like this style can really be perfected in practice. I'm not sure how much I can actually explain to you, but I, just vary between the right and left sections. And then I add more hair towards the end, of course, because, we want the braids thicker towards the end. Yeah, I feel if you wanted to do stitch braids, you would just make sure that you define the parts more when you're actually grabbing the hair. Some people like to do it with their pinky, some people like to do it with their comb. I feel like my fingers kind of naturally do it. I wasn't even intentionally trying to, but sometimes it comes out that way, especially if you're being really careful with the amount of hair that you're grabbing. So in her bun, she didn't want little curly pieces sticking out. So what I did to add those in is I basically just put one part of the curly piece into the braid, and I just kept braiding down, just leaving one part out. And then I'll show you the details when I actually wrap her bun, but this is what made the curly bun effect. A really important tip when you're doing braids like this is to make sure that your client's hair is like fully detangled. Because if it's not, then you're obviously going to be able to tell in the braids. Like, you only have 6 braids and they're on her scalp. So like, you have no leeway when it comes to, like imperfections. So I just make sure her hair is like properly detangled, and then I gel the sections again because this really helps with flatness and overall neatness of the style. And plus, when I initially did her sections, I didn't really use much gel, just enough gel to where like I could clearly define the different sections. I feel like when I'm doing these braids, the hardest piece of hair to add is that initial piece, because you don't want to put too much strain on her edges, but you do still want the braid to be, attached to her hair. You don't want to leave like too much hair out in the front. I feel like with that, it's really important to grab for your first piece of like braiding hair that you attach, grab a smaller section of hair. That will help a lot, and also that will put like minimal strain on her edges when you're like applying the braid. But for this braid, I'm not going to talk you through as much because I feel like some people are visual learners like me. I am going to talk on probably the last one though, but enjoy. So I will say that I'm not like absolutely perfect at these braids, but I feel like I'm good enough to where I can give you some pretty good tips. So another thing that I've learned throughout time is you kind of want to add hair based on the density of the person's hair. So say someone has super thick hair, you're not usually going to add as much braiding hair simply because like the braid would be super thick and it won't really give you the look. But I feel like her hair is like medium density, so I added like a good amount of hair. Another really important thing is like try to make sure you tuck her like the client's natural hair underneath the braiding hair, because this will help with longevity and like neatness of the overall style. The best way I can try to explain this is like seriously take your time when you're going through and like literally just ensuring that the braiding hair is physically over her actual natural hair when you're braiding. For this style, I actually ended up adding about 5 pieces into each of her individual braids, and the size sections for the braiding hair was probably it ranges from pinky size to probably like index finger size. Like I mentioned before, towards the end of the braid, that's when I added like thicker pieces of hair because, of course you want like that smaller to bigger effect in the braid. The best advice I can give you for consistency with your braids like this is I would say like take your time. Just be super intentional with like literally every fold over that you do, and then your braid will come out nice. It just takes like spending actually like quality time, you know, putting time into your work and just having the discipline to be patient enough to like do every stitch pretty nicely, you know. But as I go on the braid, I just, you know, vary between crossing the right section underneath the middle section from the left. And honestly, that's pretty much it to the style. I guess like the motion is pretty self-explanatory and pretty, you know, like repetitive. But I would say, you know, like when you're trying to perfect your style, definitely take your time with making sure that you tuck in the client's hair. And then make sure that you take your time with grabbing the sections of hair like from her actual head and then adding in the braiding hair, of course. I'm sorry if the instructions weren't as thorough as you may have needed. If you have like a direct question, please feel free to comment because I will try my very best to answer you. It's just very hard to try to describe like this motion, especially because like I've been doing it for so long. It's kind of like intuitive for me. But it's like with the braid, if you have any actual questions on like any motions, any hand positions or something like that, please just leave a comment and I will do my very best to explain to you. So for the bun, it actually took me a couple times to actually like perfect the bun look. But first I start off by of course like putting her hair in like a ponytail, and then like I just wrapped it around until I got the bun to my liking. For those curly pieces, I did have to like make sure that I intentionally took those out so that they did show through the bun. And you just see me snipping like some of the straight braiding hair. But yes, for the bun, I had to make sure that I like purposely put out the curly pieces because otherwise they would not have like usually stuck out. Once I get the bun to my liking, I just sewed it together so that it's stable and so that the bun, you know, like won't budge when she's sleeping or anything like that. You could also use bobby pins or more rubber bands if you wanted to, but I just like to sew because I don't know, I just find that it's easier and I just like it more. It just looks better to me. So once I am done with the braids and the bun, I just like to do my client's edges, especially for like a style like this. It's very like sleek, you know. I just feel like it tops off the style. I use the Murray's edge wax, I believe is what it's called, but it's actually pretty popular. I will say that the longevity of the hold isn't the best, but it definitely gets the look, and it doesn't flake, so that clients can, you know, like do their edges when they want to when they're at home and everything. But that is pretty much like the end of this style. My client really liked it. This is like what she asked for, so I was really happy I could provide that for her. If you're interested in booking me, I am in Virginia. Stop by Quay. But thank you so much for watching this video. Please like and subscribe.